Under the pale glow of the backstage corridor lights, the arena at WWE Raw slowly began to empty. The main event had ended. The pyrotechnics had flared. But something lingered. A scent in the air. A feeling in the walls. The kind of atmosphere that hinted the night wasn't truly over. Roman Reigns stood at the edge of the catering area, arms folded, eyes distant. He hadn't competed that night, but his aura made it feel like he had. Jey Uso stood beside him, jaw clenched, legs shifting like a boxer ready to spring. The backstage crew gave them space. No one wanted to be too close to the tribal chief unless summoned. And then, he came. The clatter of boots on concrete. Not rushed. Not hesitant. Deliberate. Controlled. Heavy. Bronson Reed. His silhouette emerged from the shadows like a tank rolling onto a battlefield. No smile. No nods. Just focus. He walked straight toward Roman Reigns without detour, a massive wall of intent, moving like this was his house now. Jey noticed first. His posture shifted. A half step forward, protective. But Roman didn't move. He didn't need to. Power like his didn't flinch. Reed stopped just shy of Roman's space. Just close enough for everyone to feel the weight of what was happening. You think this is all yours? Reed's voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the silence like a blade. The respect. The fear. The dominance. You act like you built this from nothing. Like no one else here bleeds for this place. Jey sneered. Roman stayed still, gaze hardening. Watch your tone, Roman said finally, his voice smooth as ice. People who raise their voice in my presence usually disappear just as fast. Bronson stepped in. Now they were eye to eye. Muscle to muscle. Alpha to alpha. I didn't come to raise my voice. I came to take what you're hoarding. Your title. Your legacy. Your illusion. You're not untouchable anymore. Your bloodline? It's falling apart. One piece at a time. And when the cracks are wide enough, I'll be the one who steps through. For the first time, something shifted in Roman's eyes. Not fear. But recognition. This wasn't bluster. This wasn't ego. This was war. A few feet away, Paul Heyman peeked around the corner, face tight. This wasn't sanctioned. This wasn't part of the plan. He turned and quickly dialed a number. Jey's fists balled. He was vibrating with tension. Ready to go. Roman raised a hand, stopping him. You want a war, Reed? Then you better survive the first battle. Bronson tilted his head. When you lose control, and you will, I'll be the one standing over you. And then, just as suddenly, he walked away. No theatrics. No cheap shots. Just a seismic statement that sent ripples through the entire locker room. Elsewhere. In a trainer's room 2 corridors down, Seth Rollins watched the confrontation from a monitor. His leg was braced. A pack of ice melting onto the floor beside him. But his eyes? Focused. Calculating. He wasn't cheering. He wasn't grinning. He was studying. Then came the knock. A sealed envelope, plain except for a golden WWE stamp. Inside? A single handwritten note, if Roman falls, who takes his place? Seth smiled. Someone else saw the cracks too. Underscore 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 back near catering. The air was thick. Roman turned to Jey, finally breaking his silence. He's different. Jey nodded. You want me to handle it? Roman shook his head. Not yet. Let him believe he's in control. The bigger they feel, the harder they crash. But inside, even Reigns could feel it. Something had shifted. Bronson Reed wasn't here to play politics. He was here to burn a dynasty. And not even Roman Reigns knew if he could stop the fire before it reached the throne. Underscore 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 underscore. Meanwhile, backstage staff and superstars buzzed in hushed tones. Phones vibrated. Messages spread. Reed stepped to Roman. No punches. All tension. Jay looked ready to swing. Roman just stared. *T's about to get wild. Even Triple H got the text. He leaned back in his office chair, rubbing his chin. Finally, he muttered to himself. Someone's stirring the pot. But even he didn't know that the pot was about to boil over. Because somewhere out there, Seth Rollins wasn't just watching. He was planning. He typed a reply to a message from a contact saved only as H. It's almost time. Let them burn each other down. I'll walk through the ashes. And with that, he shut the screen. Let the games begin. The glitch on the production truck's monitor didn't just go unnoticed. It became the pulse of something darker. Within minutes, screenshots of the burning chessboard flooded social media. WWE's digital team scrambled to spin it as a creative test. But the audience wasn't buying it. The Black King still standing? Reset? Fans were buzzing. Speculating. Demanding answers. And in the shadows, Seth Rollins smiled. He wasn't just teasing a return. He was broadcasting a takeover. Backstage at Raw, Paul Heyman was livid. He cornered a group of production managers, voice low but razor sharp. No one clears footage without my sign-off. That wasn't an accident. That was a message. From who? A producer asked. Heyman didn't answer. Because he already knew. At a private gym in Clearwater, Florida, Roman Reigns trained in silence. The clang of weights echoed. Solo Sikoa spotted him. Jey Uso sat against the wall, elbows on knees, watching their tribal chief closely. You think this is Seth? Jey asked. Roman kept lifting. Does it matter? Whether it's Seth or Reed or both, they're coming. We just don't know when. You want me to get ahead of it? Take Reed out the picture before it gets worse? Roman paused, set the weight down, sweat dripping from his brow. No. Let him think he has momentum. Let Seth think he's smarter. Because when we strike, there won't be time to think. Solo said nothing. But the slight nod he gave Roman meant everything. The bloodline was ready. Underscore 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 underscore. But so was Seth. He hadn't returned to the performance center. He was operating elsewhere now. A rented warehouse in Miami, converted into a command hub. Monitors on one wall. A ring in the center. Weapons and props stacked neatly against a table. Tommaso Ciampa stood at one end, taping his wrists. Mustafa Ali shadowboxed nearby. Rollins walked in slowly, every step deliberate. We're not here to make noise, he said. We're here to make a point. He pulled a folded printout from his coat. A still image from the glitch video. The Black King. Roman Reigns isn't just a wrestler. He's a dynasty. And dynasties don't fall from outside attacks. They collapse from within. Ali stepped forward. What do you need from us? Exposure. We pull back the curtain. Show the world what they forgot. Show them that WWE was built by more than just one family. Ciampa smirked. Then let's build something better. Underscore 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 underscore. That night, on SmackDown, another glitch hijacked the Tron. This time, footage of Seth Rollins' knee injury. Then a reversal. The knee unsnapping. A clock ticking backward. And finally, his silhouette standing over fire. Text, revival. The crowd went wild. Backstage, Heyman turned to Roman. He's coming. Roman nodded. Let him. Underscore 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 underscore. In Stamford, the creative team was fractured. One group pushed to pull Bronson into a formal program with Roman immediately. Another group warned it would fracture the current Bloodline story arc. Executives called emergency meetings. Vince McMahon's replacement sent red alert emails. But the truth was clear, they were no longer in control. The story was being written by the men in the trenches. Underscore 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 underscore. The following Raw opened with chaos. As the crowd roared, Bronson Reed marched through the entrance tunnel with no music. No announcement. Just fury. He entered the ring, grabbed a mic, and said two words, SummerSlam. Roman. Drop. The pop from the crowd was thunderous. No need for monologues. The challenge was made. Underscore 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 underscore. Backstage, Roman Reigns watched on a monitor, arms folded. Heyman whispered in his ear. Jay paced. Solo cracked his knuckles. What do we do? Jay asked. Roman turned slowly. We let him think he has the upper hand. Then we remind him what war looks like. But the plan shifted again. That night, as Raw closed out, a final message aired. The glitch. A new image, 3 thrones. One shattered. Then, the voice of Seth Rollins. SummerSlam isn't a match. It's a reckoning. Cut to black. The crowd chanted, Seth. 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 Later, WWE's official Twitter posted a graphic, SummerSlam, triple threat match Roman Reigns vs Bronson Reed vs Seth Rollins #Crown at SummerSlam trended worldwide. Backstage, Roman Reigns said nothing. But inside, the storm was building. He was still the champion. But the war had begun. SummerSlam arrived like thunder. The air in the arena buzzed with anticipation. Tens of thousands of fans screaming, chanting, holding signs aloft as pyro exploded across the stage. The opening matches had delivered. But everyone knew the main event was something else. It wasn't just about a title. It was about control. Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins. Bronson Reed. 3 men. 1 kingdom. Backstage, Roman sat in his private locker room, flanked by Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa. Paul Heyman stood in the corner, phone in hand, silent. Roman adjusted his gloves with slow, calculated movements. No interference. Not unless I say. Jay stepped forward. You sure about that, Yus? These two ain't like the rest. Roman looked up. Exactly. Which means we finish it clean. I remind them why I'm the tribal chief. Solo didn't speak. He didn't need to. He was a loaded weapon. Waiting for a trigger. Elsewhere, Bronson Reed bounced on the balls of his feet. Alone. Focused. He didn't speak to anyone. He didn't need pep talks or strategy. Just a mission, crush the era of Reigns. Seth Rollins stood in a dim corridor. Tommaso Ciampa and Mustafa Ali beside him. No cameras. No interviews. Seth tightened the brace on his knee. Looked at both men. You know the rules. Stay out there unless I call. This is my war. They nodded. Rollins limped down the hallway, alone. The entrances hit like bombs. First, Bronson Reed. A silent beast stomping through the smoke. Second, Seth Rollins. No theme music. Just a slow spotlight and deafening crowd chants, burn it down. Finally, Roman Reigns. Flanked by Jay and Solo, but they stopped at the ramp. Roman entered the ring alone. The bell rang. The match exploded. Reed bulldozed both men early. Tossed Seth with a gut-wrench suplex. Smashed Roman into the corner with a body avalanche. The crowd roared with every seismic hit. But Roman weathered it. Waited. Then struck with a Superman punch. A spear. Bronson didn't fall. He roared back, catching Roman in mid-run and slamming him with a Samoan drop. Seth flew from the top rope with a knee to Bronson's jaw. Momentum shifted every 30 seconds. No one controlled for long. At one point, Seth locked Roman in a triangle choke, only for Reed to break it with a senton splash on both men. The audience was electric. Then came the turning point. Bronson hit Seth with a jackknife powerbomb. Turned to Roman. Roman hit a second spear. Cover. 1. 2. Ciampa pulled Seth from under the pin, barely keeping the match alive. Roman sat up, fuming. He rolled outside. Superkicked Ciampa into the barricade. Ali charged. Roman dodged. Speared him through the timekeeper's area. When Roman turned, Seth flew off the top rope, landing with a high-impact stomp on Roman's chest. Bronson grabbed Seth. Another powerbomb. But Seth reversed midair into a Hurricane Rana that sent Reed crashing into the corner. All three men were down. The crowd chanted. This is awesome. Jay and Solo stood at the ramp, fists clenched. Heyman whispered, we may need to get involved. But Roman waved them off from the canvas. He was rising. He would finish this alone. Final sequence, Bronson climbed the ropes. A rare risk. Seth met him there. Superplex attempt. Roman slipped under. Powerbombed both from the turnbuckle. All three flat. Roman crawled over to Seth. 1. 2. Bronson broke the pin. Reed lifted Roman. Slammed him. Climbed again. Tsunami splash. But Seth pulled Roman out at the last second. Reed crashed. Seth hit the stomp. Cover. 1. 2. 3. Seth Rollins wins. The arena erupted. Fireworks exploded. Rollins lay on his back, eyes wide. Breathing hard. The title in his hands. He did it. He took the crown. Backstage, Jay stared at the screen in shock. Solo turned and punched a wall. Roman sat up slowly, sweat dripping. Heyman looked to him. What now? Roman didn't answer. He just stared at the ring. The bloodline had been broken. And a new king had risen. The morning after SummerSlam, WWE headquarters in Stamford was already in emergency meetings. The unthinkable had happened. Roman Reigns had lost his crown. Not pinned, but dethroned. The media team scrambled to spin the headlines. The creative team revised long-term plans. And a quiet storm was building within the roster. Seth Rollins wasn't just champion again. He was a symbol of change. Backstage footage aired exclusively on WWE.com. Roman Reigns walking alone through the parking lot after the event, championship-less, sweat-soaked, and silent. Jay tried to follow, but Roman waved him off. Paul Heyman trailed 10 steps behind, phone in hand, looking like he had seen the end of an empire. Solo Sikoa didn't say a word. He just watched his cousin disappear into the night. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins opened Raw with no music, no pyro. Just a steel chair, the World Heavyweight Championship slung across his shoulder, and the crowd on their feet. He sat in the center of the ring and stared at the hard cam. This isn't the start of a new reign. This is the end of a lie. He let the crowd chant. Roman Reigns built a dynasty. But he built it on fear, loyalty, and silence. That ends now. Rollins stood. This title isn't just a trophy. It's a signal. To every underdog. Every fighter. Every name buried by politics or forgotten by time. I didn't win this alone. I won this for all of us. Cue Ciampa and Ali on the ramp. The crowd exploded. Rollins nodded at them. And we're just getting started. Elsewhere, Bronson Reed was interviewed in a dark-lit studio. He didn't complain. He didn't rant. Just stared into the lens. I didn't come for the belt. I came for the power. Seth took the crown. But Roman. I'm not finished with you. The tension hadn't ended. It had evolved. Meanwhile, backstage at SmackDown, Roman Reigns called a closed-door meeting. Only Jay and Solo were allowed in. We don't rebuild the bloodline. We reshape it, Roman said. From now on, it's not about defending. It's about reclaiming. Brick by brick. Jay asked, what about Seth? Roman paused. He's the king now. But even kings can fall. We just need to remind them how. The week after SummerSlam saw the WWE Universe divided. Raw ratings surged, fan forums exploded, and merchandise sales for Seth Rollins spiked overnight. But behind the curtains, the landscape was unstable. Too many rivalries unresolved. Too many egos bruised. And in the silence, ambition grew teeth. On Monday Night Raw, Ciampa and Ali opened the show, facing off against the Alpha Academy in a match that ended with brutal efficiency. It wasn't just a win. It was a message. This wasn't a faction, it was a mission. And every time they stepped into the ring, they reminded everyone what they stood for. After the match, Rollins appeared on the screen. Let the architects rebuild. He wasn't just holding the title. He was holding court. Backstage, producers debated bringing back legacy stars to challenge him. But creative control was tighter than ever. Seth had plans. And he wasn't interested in rehashing the past. Meanwhile, on SmackDown, Roman Reigns was nowhere to be seen. Instead, it was Solo Sikoa who opened the show. He walked down the ramp, grabbed a mic, and issued a chilling promise: this family's not dead. It's just evolving. You want to cut off the head of the table? Then be ready for the war that follows. Backstage, Roman watched on a monitor. Alone. Silent. But then. He smiled. Solo had spoken without permission. And that meant only one thing: he was ready to lead. Elsewhere, Bronson Reed continued his quiet storm. A backstage segment aired showing him in a gym, powerlifting, breathing through his nose like a bull before charge. In a rare moment, he spoke to the camera. Seth Rollins might be the king. But the ground he walks on? It still shakes when I move. The tension wasn't over. Reed wasn't backing down. And the fans knew it. That Friday, Rollins appeared unannounced on SmackDown. He entered through the crowd, title in hand, flanked by Ciampa and Ali. The reaction was nuclear. He entered the ring. Called out Reigns. Instead, Solo answered. The two stared down. The crowd lost their minds. Seth tilted his head. If you want your shot, come get it. Solo stepped forward. Then stopped. Smiled. And walked away. A message. The bloodline wasn't just recovering. It was morphing. Backstage, Heyman made calls. We need to secure new alliances. If Solo steps up, we need muscle. Unpredictable muscle. Names floated. Braun Breaker. Austin Theory. Even Drew McIntyre. The next phase was coming. And Seth Rollins, champion or not, was about to find out. Keeping the throne was harder than taking it. The next week on Raw, the show opened cold. No pyro. No intro. Just a camera panning across the backstage carnage. Equipment scattered. Tables overturned. Officials shouting. And then, the camera found the center of it all, Bronson Reed, breathing heavily, standing over the bodies of two security guards and Chad Gable. No context. Just destruction. He looked into the camera. Send the next one. Fade to black. Later that night, Seth Rollins addressed the chaos from the ring. We've got monsters at our gates. I hear the whispers. Reed's gonna end the reign. Solo's ready to lead. Roman's reloading. Good. Let them all come. Because I didn't take this title to hide behind it. I took it to fight for it. The crowd erupted. Ciampa and Ali flanked him again, but this time, Rollins waved them back. Next week. Bronson Reed. One-on-one. No titles. No tricks. Just violence. Let's find out who really shakes the ground. Meanwhile, in a darkened training room, Solo Sikoa stood before a mirror. No music. No entourage. Just him, rapping his fists. Behind him, Jey Uso entered. You stepping up, or stepping over? Jey asked. Solo didn't respond right away. Then, if Roman doesn't take back the throne, I will. Jey blinked. So that's how it is? Solo turned, calm but cold. That's how it has to be. On SmackDown, Roman Reigns made his return. The crowd exploded. He walked to the ring alone. No Heyman. No bloodline. He stood in the center and let the crowd scream themselves hoarse. Then, I didn't lose the title. It was stolen. But don't think for a second that makes me weaker. It makes me focused. SummerSlam was a misstep. The next one will be a massacre. He stared into the camera. Seth. Bronson. Solo. You all want the kingdom. But none of you want the crown that comes with it. The camera cut to the back. Solo watching. Expression unreadable. Then he whispered, "We'll see." Backstage, Heyman met with someone behind closed doors. A handshake. A contract. A silhouette leaving. Rumors spread instantly. A new bloodline member? Or something else? The war wasn't over. It was just beginning again.